Well, more years ago than I care to admit, I was born to two barely 20-year-old parents married for a year. Neither was emotionally mature, nor set on a career path. They probably had no business having a baby. Within 5 years or so, two other babies were born to them within a year of one another. The elder of the two was hyperactive and aggressive. My dad worked many different jobs trying to find his way, and my mom struggled to clothe and feed a family of 5 and keep some sense of order in a pretty chaotic, unsettled house. There were many physical moves. Later, when I was the director of a child abuse prevention agency hotline, I discovered that my mother was the classic case of a typical caller, a young, overwhelmed mother with an early, iffy marriage, with 3 or more kids under 5, one with behavior problems, and with inadequate financial resources. But lucky for her, and lucky for my brothers and me, we were surrounded by and supported by 4 wonderful grandparents, 3 sets of involved aunts and uncles, a half a dozen cousins to play with. We had an active, vibrant church community, good schools, many adults who cared and helped, Girl Scout and 4-H leaders, teachers, YMCA camp counselors for me, ministers, social club members, friends, and neighbors for my parents. We were nestled in a community that created a nurturing web of support and encouragement and offered resources to fill the holes created by imperfect but loving parents in imperfect circumstances. It was good enough. Even as a child, I was aware enough to understand early on that we really needed this community. As I grew up and made my own career choices, I naturally gravitated to my burning desire to help other kids, especially those in similar circumstances to mine or worse, have the safe, loving, good enough family and community upbringing that I had. My passion for our work, the work of all of you in this room, remains fueled to this day by my true understanding and belief that parents, nearly every parent, wants to do a good job, but not all of them have the inner resources or the outer resources to do that. This passion was fueled even more when I became a mother to my own 2 wonderful children, and I realized that despite my indescribable and unlimited love for them, that I too was an imperfect parent who needed a support system. A family of the heart that I put together of people who I love and who love me, a family resource center that I was able to participate in, parent education. All of this is to say that my work from college on has been driven by a sense of mission that is so core to my very being. I bring that sense of purpose that I want every child to grow up in a good enough family, in a good enough community, to work with me every single day. Many days, at the end of the day, I wonder if anything I did that day had anything to do with accomplishing that purpose. As a CEO, I'm far away from the really tough daily direct service work where the alchemy of people helping people really happens. But I show up. I walk in every day with a clear intention, or prayer if you're so inclined. Today, let me be kind. Let me be compassionate. Let me be wise. Every day I fail in some very fundamental ways, but I keep showing up, I keep trying, and I keep believing powerfully in the mission and vision of what we do. Well, after a decade and a half of career failures, my dad became a really successful entrepreneur. He saw possibilities and opportunities everywhere long before others did. On the other hand, my mother was a bookkeeper, and her mother, my grandma, a wonderful gardener who grew and harvested amazing vegetables well into her 80s. Embedded in my leadership is all of these: the ability to see patterns and possibility and move to capitalize on opportunities, a strong sense of an inclination towards seeing unflinching reality, and an appreciation for careful planning and execution. I'm grateful for these gifts from my parents and grandmother, and I know they form the basis for a leadership style that can both embrace the big picture and also can deal with very detailed leadership tasks. I want to thank my mentor and co-president CEO of Beachbrook for over 10 years, Mario Tanti. Anything I've achieved professionally as a leader, I share with him. And I want to thank my family for their unconditional support and for the many personal sacrifices that they've had to make over many years of my career. I also thank my colleagues at Beechbrook, some of whom are here supporting me, for all they do to drive the mission forward and to compensate for my many shortcomings, with which they do with great talent, skill, and grace. And my personal thanks to my close colleagues in the field for years of sharing your talents, ideas, and friendship. You know who you are. Finally, I want to say this. Everyone in this room leads at some level. It isn't easy. These are not easy times. If you get any senior leaders in a small group or off by themselves one-on-one, and the egos drop, and we all speak our truth to one another, we are all uncertain in our roles right now. We don't know which way to guide our organizations for the next 6 months, let alone longer-term futures. The lack of a clear path can be almost immobilizing, and yet somehow we all dig deep inside, every one of us, every day, because we know that the need for our work is there, even when the resources don't appear to be. Truthfully, I don't know how we're going to reinvent ourselves, either as individual organizations or as a field, but I do know this. There are millions of little Debbies, just like me, out there today, whose loving but troubled families are struggling in communities where resources are scarce or non-existent. And as long as that is true, you and I and the Alliance will all continue to successfully push through the inertia of fear, because I'm not fearless, and do just this, just now, to accomplish what we can today, even as we try to remake ourselves and our field in this chaotic and unpredictable environment. So in humbly accepting this award, I accept for all of us in leadership roles who put on the increasingly heavy mantles of responsibility and who lead every day with courage and heart. My hat's off to all of you, and I am so grateful to be part of our collective.